dining nook. Most of the cellar has been converted into a long carpeted room with a big TV at one end and a ping pong table at the other. Track lighting, Nick calls it, the rumpus room, and this is where they sit. McIntosh asks them if they'd like something to drink. He says there's soda, beer, lemonade, and iced tea. I want an Arnold Palmer, Nick says. Half and half, lots of ice. Billy says that sounds good. We make small talk until the drinks come. The weather, how hot it is down here in the border south. Nick wants to know how Billy's trip in was. Billy says it was fine, but doesn't say where he flew in from, and Nick doesn't ask. Nick says, how about that fucking Trump? Billy says, how about him? That's about all they've got. But it's okay because by then McIntosh is back with 2 tall glasses on a tray. And once he leaves, Nick gets down to business. When I called your man Bucky, he tells me you're hoping to retire. I'm thinking about it. Been at it a long time. Too long. Truth. How old are you anyway? 44. Been doing this ever since you took off the uniform? Pretty much. He's pretty sure Nick knows all this. How many in all? I don't exactly remember. It's 17, 18, counting the first one. The man with the cast on his arm. Bucky says you might do one more if the price was right. He waits for Billy to ask. Billy doesn't. So Nick resumes. The price on this one is very right. You could do it and spend the rest of your life someplace warm, drinking pina coladas in a hammock. He busts out the big grin again. 2,500,000 up front, the rest after. Billy's whistle isn't part of the act, which he doesn't think of as an act, but as his dumb self, the one he shows. Himself, the one he shows to guys like Nick and Frank and Polly. It's like a seatbelt. You don't use it because you expect to be in a crash, but you never know who you might meet coming over a hill on your side of the road. This is also true on the road of life, where people veer all over the place and drive the wrong way on the turnpike. Why so much? The most he's ever gotten on a contract was $7,000. It's not a politician, is it? Because I don't do that. Not even close. Is it a bad person? Nick laughs, shakes his head, and looks at Billy with real affection. Always the same question with you. Billy nods. The dumb self might be a shuck, but this is true. He only does bad people. It's how he sleeps at night. He It goes without saying that he has made a living working for bad people, yes, but Billy doesn't see this as a moral conundrum. He has no problem with bad people paying to have other bad people killed. He basically sees himself as a garbage man with a gun. This is a very bad person. Okay. And it's not my 2 mil. I'm just the middleman here. Getting what you could call an agenting fee. Not a piece of yours. Mine's on the side. Nick leans forward, hands clasped between his thighs. His expression is earnest. His eyes are fixed on Billy's. The target is a pro shooter, like you. Only this guy, he never asks if it's a bad person or a good person. He doesn't make those distinctions. If the money's right, he does the job. For now, we'll call him Joe. 6 years ago, or maybe it was 7, it don't matter. This guy Joe took out a 15-year-old kid on his way to school. Was the kid a bad person? No, in fact, he was an honor student, but someone wanted to send the kid's dad a message. The kid was the message. Joe was the messenger. Billy wonders if the story is true. It might not be. It has a fairy tale fabulism to it, but it somehow feels true. You want me to hit a hitter? Like he's getting it straight in his mind. Nailed it. Joe's in a Los Angeles lockup now, Men's Central, charged with assault and attempted rape. The attempted rape thing, tell you what, if you're not a Me Too chick, it's sort of funny. He mistook this lady writer who was in LA for a conference, feminist lady writer type, for a hooker. He propositioned her, a bit on the hard side, I guess, and she pepper sprayed him. He popped her one in the teeth and dislocated her jaw. He probably sold another 100,000 books out of that. Should have thanked him instead of charging him, don't you think? Billy doesn't reply. Come on, Billy, think about it. Man's off God knows how many guys, some of them very hard guys, and he gets pepper sprayed by a dyke woman's liver. You gotta see the humor in that. Billy gives a token smile. LA's on the other side of the country. That's right. But he was here before he went there. I don't know why he was here and don't care. But I know he was looking for a poker game and someone told him where he could find one. Because, see, our pal Joe fancies himself a high roller. Long story short, he lost a lot of money. When the big winner came out, 5 in the morning, Joe shot him in the gut and took back not just his money, but all the money. Someone tried to stop him, probably another moke who was in the game, and Joe shot him too. Kill both of them? Big Winner died in the hospital, but not before he ID'd Joe. Guy who tried to intervene pulled through. He also ID'd Joe. You know what else? Billy shakes his head. Security footage. You see where this is going? Billy does, absolutely. Not really. California's got him for assault, which'll stick. The attempted rape would probably get thrown out. It's not like he dragged her into an alley or anything. In fact, he fucking offered to pay her, so it's just solicitation. DA won't even bother about that. With time served, he might get 90 days in county. Debt paid. But here it's murder. And they take that very serious on this side of the Mississippi. Billy knows it. In the red states, they put stone killers out of their misery, and he has no problem with that. And after looking at the security footage, the jury would almost certainly decide to give old Joey the needle. You see that, right? Sure. He's using his lawyer to fight extradition. No big surprise there. You know what extradition is, right? Sure. Okay. Joe's lawyer is fighting it for all he's worth, and the guy ain't no ambulance chaser. He's already got a 30-day delay on a hearing, and he'll use it to figure out other ways to stall, but in the end, he's gonna lose. And Joe's in an isolation cell because somebody tried to stick a shiv into him. Old Joey took it away and broke his wrist for him. But where there's one guy with a shiv, there could be a dozen. Gang thing? Billy asks. Crips, maybe? They got a beef with him? Who knows? Nick shrugs. For now, Joe's got his own private quarters. Doesn't have to get slopped with the rest of the hogs. Gets 30 minutes in the yard all by his lonesome. Also, meantime, the lawyer man is reaching out to people. The message he's sending is that this guy will talk about something very big unless he can get a pass on the murder charge. Could that happen? Billy doesn't like to think so. Even if the man this Joe killed after the poker game was a bad person, prosecutors might take the death penalty off the table. Or maybe even step it down to second degree or something. Not bad, Billy. You're on the right track, at least. But what I'm hearing is that Joe wants all the charges dismissed. He must be holding some high cards. He thinks he can trade something to get away with murder? Says the guy who got away with it God knows how many times, Nick says and laughs. Billy doesn't laugh. I never shot anyone because I lost money in a poker game. I don't play poker. And I don't rob. Nick nods vigorously. I know that, Billy. Just bad people. I was only busting your chops a bit. Drink your drink. Billy drinks his drink. He's thinking $2 million for one job. And he's thinking, what's the catch? Someone must really want to stop this guy from giving up whatever he's got. Nick points a finger gun at him like Billy has made an amazing leap of deduction. You know it. Anyway, I get a message from this local guy. You'll meet him if you take the job. And the message is, we're looking for a pro shooter. Who's the best of the best? I think that's Billy Summers. Because case fucking closed. You want me to do this guy, but not in LA? Here? Not me. I'm just the middleman, remember? It's someone else. Someone with very deep pockets. What's the catch? Nick turns on the grin. He points another finger gun at Billy. Straight to the point, right? Straight to the fucking point. Except it's not really a catch. Or maybe it is, depending on how you feel. It's time, you see. You're going to be here. He waves his hand to indicate the little yellow house. Maybe the neighborhood it sits in as well. The one Billy will discover is called Midwood. Maybe the whole city, which sits east of the Mississippi and just below the Mason-Dixon line for quite a while. I am reading to you. Are you not listening? Can you not hear me? Chapter 4. They talk some more. Nick tells Billy that the location is set, by which he means the place Billy will shoot from. Says Billy doesn't have to decide until he sees it, and hears more. Billy will get that from Ken Hoff. He's the local guy. Nick says Ken is out of town today. Does he know what I use? This isn't the same as saying he's in, but it's a big step in that direction. $2 million for mostly sitting around on his ass and taking one shot. Hard to turn down a deal like that. Nick nods. Okay, when do I meet this Hoff guy? Tomorrow. He'll give you a call at your hotel tonight. Time and place. If I do it, I'll need some kind of cover story for why I'm here. All worked out. And it's a beaut. Giorgio's idea. We'll tell you tomorrow night, after you meet with Hoff. Nick rises, sticks out his hand, and Billy shakes it. He has shaken with Nick before and never likes it because Nick is a bad guy. Hard not to like him a little, though. Nick is also a pro, and that grin works. Chapter 5. Holly Logan drives him back to the hotel. Holly doesn't talk much. He asks Billy if he minds the radio. And when Billy says no, Polly puts on a soft rock station. At one point he says, Loggins and Messina, they're the best. Except for cursing at a guy who cuts him off on Cedar Street. That's the extent of his conversation. Billy doesn't mind. He's thinking of all the movies he's seen about robbers who are planning one last job. If noir is a genre, then One Last Job is the subgenre. In those movies, the last job always goes bad. Billy isn't a robber, and he doesn't work with a gang. and he's not superstitious. But this last job thing nags at him, just the same. Maybe because the price is so high. Maybe because he doesn't know who's paying the tab or why. Maybe it's even the story. Nick told him about how the target once took out a 15-year-old honor student. You sticking around? Paulie asks when he pulls the car into the hotel's forecourt. Because this guy Hoff will get you the tool you need. I could have done it myself, but Nick said no. Is he sticking around? Don't know. Maybe. He pauses, getting out. Probably. Six. In his room, Billy powers up his laptop. He changes the timestamp and checks his VPN. Because hackers love hotels. He could try Googling Los Angeles County courts. Extradition hearings have got to be a matter of public record. But there are simpler ways to get what he wants. And he wants Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan had a point when he said trust, but verify. Billy goes to the LA Times website and pays for a 6-month subscription. He uses a credit card that belongs to a fictitious person named Thomas Hardy. Hardy being Billy's favorite writer. Of the naturalist school, anyway. Once in, he searches for feminist writer and adds attempted rape. Finds half a dozen stories, each smaller than the last. There's a picture of a feminist writer who looks hot and has a lot to say. The alleged attack took place in the forecourt of the Beverly Hills Hotel. The alleged perpetrator was discovered to be in possession of multiple IDs and credit cards. According to the Times, his real name is Joel Randolph Allen. He beat the rap charge in Massachusetts in 2012. He beat a rape charge in Massachusetts in 2012. So Joe was pretty close, Billy thinks. Next he goes to the website of the city's newspaper. Once again uses Thomas Hardy to get through the paywall and searches for a murder victim poker game. The story is there, and the security photo that runs with it is pretty damning. An hour earlier, the light wouldn't have been good enough to show the doer's face, but the timestamp on the bottom of the photo is 5:18 a.m. The sun isn't up, but it's getting there. And the face of the guy standing in the alley is as clear as you'd want if you were a prosecutor. He's got his hand in his pocket. He's waiting outside a door that says loading zone, do not block. And if Billy was on the jury, he'd probably vote for the needle just on the basis of that. Because Billy Summers is an expert when it comes to premeditation, and that's what he's looking at right here. The most recent story in the Red Bluff paper says that Joel Allen has been arrested on unrelated charges in Los Angeles. Billy is sure that Nick believes he takes everything at face value. Like everyone else Billy has worked for over the years, he's been doing this. Nick believes that outside of his awesome sniper skills, Billy is a little slow. Maybe even on the spectrum. Nick believes the dumb self because Billy is at great pains not to overdo it. No gaping mouth, no glazed eyes, no outright stupidity. An Archie comic book does wonders. The Zola novel he's been reading is buried deep in his suitcase. And if someone searched his case and discovered it, Billy would say he found it left in the pocket of an airline seat and picked it up because he liked the girl on the cover. He thinks about looking for the 15-year-old honor student, but there isn't enough info. He could Google that all afternoon and not find it. Even if he did, he couldn't be sure he was looking at the right 15-year-old. It's enough to know the rest of the story Nick told checks out. He orders a sandwich and a pot of tea. When it comes, he sits by the window, eating and reading the Race Requiem. He thinks it's like James M. Cain crossed with an EC horror comic from the 1950s. After his late lunch, he lies down with his hands behind his head and beneath the pillow, feeling the cool that hides there, which, like youth and beauty, doesn't last long. He'll see what this Ken Hoff has to say, and if that also checks out, he thinks he will take the job. The waiting will be difficult. He's never been good at that. Tried Zen once, didn't take. But for a $2 million payday, he can't wait. Billy closes his eyes and goes to sleep. At 7 that evening, he's eating a room service dinner and watching the Asphalt Jungle on his laptop. It's a jinxed one last job picture for sure. The phone rings. It's Ken Hoff. He tells Billy where they'll meet tomorrow afternoon. Billy doesn't have to write it down. Writing things down can be dangerous, and he's got a good memory. Chapter 2, Number 1. Like most male movie stars, not to mention men, Billy passes on the street. Not to mention men Billy passes on the street who are emulating those movie stars. Ken Hoff has a scruff of beard. as if he forgot to shave for 3 or 4 days. This is unfortunate. This is an unfortunate look for Hoff, who is a redhead. He doesn't look rough and tough. He looks like he has a bad sunburn. They're sitting at an umbrella-shaded table outside an eatery called the Sunspot Cafe. It's on the corner of Main and Court. Billy guesses the place is plenty busy during the week. But on this Saturday afternoon, it's almost deserted inside, and they have the outside scatter of tables to themselves. Hoff is maybe 15, or a hard... Hoff is maybe 50, or a hard-living 45. He's drinking a glass of wine. Billy has a diet soda. He doesn't think Hoff works for Nick, because Nick is based in Vegas. But Nick has his fingers in many pies. Not all of them out west. Nick and Ken may be connected in some way, or maybe Hoff is hooked up with the guy who is paying for the job. Always assuming the job happens, that is. That building across the street is mine, Hoff says. Only 22 stories, but good enough to make it the second highest in Red Bluff. It'll be the third highest when the Higgins Center goes up. That's going to be 30 stories high with a mall. I've got a piece of that one too, but this one's mine. Strictly my baby. They laughed at Trump when he said he was going to fix the economy, but it's working. It's working.
The currents carry the ducks all over the world. So months later, they start washing up on the coast of Alaska, turning this toy spell into an accidental experiment. So from the duck
Billy has no interest in Trump or Trump's economy,
the accidental duck
but he studies the building with professional interest.
literally 20
He's pretty sure it's where he's supposed to take the shot. It's called the Girard Tower. Billy thinks that calling a building that has only 22 stories a tower is a little overblown, but he supposes in this city of small brick buildings, most of them shabby, it probably seems like a tower. On the well-tended and watered greensward, in front of it is a sign reading office space and luxury apartments now available. There's a number to call. The sign looks like it's been there a while. Hi Nate, how are you? Just chilling in the pool, being a duck. Well, tuned in to the right show then, because that's what we're reading. Hasn't filled the way I expected, Hoff says. The economy is booming, yeah. People with money falling out of their asses in 2020 is going to be even better. But you'd be surprised how much of that is internet driven. Billy? Okay to call you Billy? Sure. Bottom line, I'm a little bit tight this year. Cash flow problems since I bought into WWE. But three of Phil's, how could I say no? Billy has no idea what he's talking about. Something about pro wrestling, maybe? Or the Monster Truck Jam? They keep advertising on TV. Sinsoff clearly thinks he should